What does it take to grow your ideas? Welcome to Grow Your Ideas podcast, where we hear from female founders who have the courage to grow their ideas and share their advice and story with you. The reason being to inspire you to do the same. I truly believe we need more female founders in the world. We bring heart, we bring passion, we bring inspiration and support to each other and those around us. Today, you have a South African host, a show filmed in Norway, and a guest list that is always very international. Today's show is called Yoga from the Hearts. We will hear all about what it takes to leave a high powered corporate job and start a yoga and wellness business in the countryside. What does it take to go from being a nutritionist scientist to being somebody that wants more time in their life, is having a much healthier diet, feels more confident, and is serving the community and the people around them in a way that's truer to who she really is? Look forward to our show today. You're going to learn so much. Stay to the end where we will wrap up all the tips and tricks on what you need in order to start your own yoga business. Welcome. My name is Laverne Wyatt, and this is Grow Your Ideas podcast. I'm a brand mentor and communication specialist. And for 20 years, I've worked with and met amazing businesswomen from at least 12 different countries. And I've worked in at least 4 different countries. And I found out that everybody has a story to tell about why they started their business and how they started it. But usually, women it becomes a bit difficult to try and put that personal story out there for yourself. And I felt like there must be some way to get these amazing people to tell their stories in a way that makes them feel comfortable and is fun and is inspiring so that other people can also take their ideas and tools and start their own business. And that's where the idea to have a live talk show came from. Because I figured if I'm asking the questions and they're sitting down and enjoying the talk, then it doesn't feel like marketing. And it doesn't feel so like in your face. And so we tried it out, we started it, and it's been so much fun. And today I want to say welcome to Gunn Helene Arsky.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
You are a nutritionist, scientist, author, and yoga teacher.
Yeah, amongst other things.
Amongst other things.
Right.
I love that. A lot of the time, people have been told to specialize in something, like don't overwhelm me with all the things you're good at. Can't you just narrow it down? And I actually do this to do the opposite. I was like, tell me more, tell us more. That we need to hear more stories about people that have multiple passions and then how you put those together to create your business as a female founder. So can you tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, and paint us a picture of your life before you became a famous, I should say famous because everybody loves you here in town,
Thank you.
yoga teacher and business owner.
Well, as you said, my name is Gunn Helene Arsky, and I used to live in Oslo. In maybe 5 years ago, we moved to Halden, and my life before that move was more or less like any other employee, I would say. I was one in a cog of maybe 2,000 employees in a big fruit and vegetable purveyor. And I really loved what I did there. I had a nice job. I was more or less the one who decided what I would do with my time, so I could schedule my days as I liked. But what I found was that being an employee, it really eats up all the time that you want to do other things, like dedicate your time to family and to all the other things in life that makes one happy. So I've always had this desire to write, become an author. And through my work, I got to write a lot. I wrote a number of nutrition books. But I always had this feeling that you couldn't really call yourself an author before you had actually published a fictional work, which is nonsense, I know, but still always was that dream that to have enough time to do that. And so even though I got to travel a lot in my job and I got to meet a lot of different people and lecture, I love lecturing. Not usually in English, but I've done that as well. For instance, for Polish chefs who were operating on geoscience vessels all around the world. So I got to speak to them. It's interesting. But I mainly I wanted to have room in my life for all the things that really made me happy inside, not just make money.
Very interesting. And you mentioned also that some of the tasks you had in that job was a product and recipe developer because you have a master's in nutrition.
Yeah. Well, that master in nutrition, that was also, I took a little detour before I got that degree because I didn't read the small text well enough. So I took 1 year as in training as a chef and waiter. And then I was 1 year also at the college for school kitchen or home economics teachers. So that is why I also like to cook, because the nutrition science, they aren't really interested in the foods as something sensual or something flavorful. It's just the nutrients, it's just the calories, it's just the vitamins. It's what happens inside you. But my love for cooking, it's been with me since I was maybe 3. I think my mom wrote down a little recipe that I made when I was 5 years old. And it consisted of sausages and raisins and a little bit of tomato juice or something like that. And she made it and she wrote it down. And yeah, that was my first recipe. And I've improved. I've improved.
It actually feels like I almost want to taste it. It sounds very creative. And I think well done to your mom for taking it so seriously that she actually wrote it down.
Yeah.
Do you think that her doing that could have inspired you to believe in yourself in the future with regards to making recipe books or developing them?
It very well may have done so, because I've always known that that was my first recipe, and she also gave me children's cookbooks and also gave me free reins to experiment. And for instance, when we would have Norwegian classic dinner, fish balls, which is not what it sounds like for people who are not Norwegian. It's
Yeah, fish
mashed
balls.
mashed fish shaped like balls, okay? And it usually comes with a white gravy or a white sauce and bechamel. And she would let me make that bechamel, and even though it was lumpy and everything, but
That's a difficult sauce.
yeah, so I got to practice in my kitchen or in my mom's kitchen. And also my father was very good chef, hobby chef, I would say.
Wonderful parents, because I'm sure they had to do the cleaning up.
Yeah. That's how it is.
I think we can all learn something from that as parents. So you painted a picture of your life before you were working for one of the biggest, well, the biggest corporation in Norway with regards to fresh foods, and they import from all over the world, and we all buy their products. It's in all of our fridges and kitchens. So that was your life then. Mother, 3 young kids, high-powered job. You were the experts with regards to delivering information. What is your life like now?
It is so much slower, and I get to enjoy being in the moment a lot more, because I was always running, doing everything as fast as I could to fit in everything that I wanted to do. And now I can wake up without an alarm clock, for instance, just wake up when my body and my mind is rested.
God, that sounds like the ultimate luxury.
Yeah, I feel like it. And also, I take time to not only cook or make my own meals, not just bring a lunchbox or go to canteen to have your lunch, but I get to prepare my dinner and my lunch, and I get to take time to make it look nice. Like I love, you talked about flowers. I love to embellish and decorate my food with edible flowers. Also, I like to know what they do in your body. And so, and also, of course, I've got so much more time for my yoga practice and my teaching yoga, which was what I really wanted to do when I was working. What I really couldn't fit in the time to do that. So all of that, and also it's left me with time to write novels.
That's wonderful. And this life of yours is also was before it was in a big city, and now it's in a small town.
Yes, and that's also a big difference because let's see, 6, 7, 8 years ago, we started to think, me and my husband, we started to toy with the idea that maybe we should not have to stay in Oslo, which is our capital, forever and ever, even though most people, when they have a nice house, they tend to keep living there. But we saw that my husband, who was able to retire, we couldn't live in that house if I wanted to also do less or work less or downshift. So we took a kind of a different choice. I don't think many people in Norway actually do that. He retired, that's one thing, but I actually quit my job and we moved to this tiny little city, which I love, and where we didn't know anyone. And I didn't have a job to go to. I had to create my own work. So, yeah, it's been a big change. And we haven't looked back at all.
Okay. And how long ago was this?
We started to prepare by, traveling to different areas that we might want to move to in 2015. And we bought the house in Halden in 2017. That was also when I quit my job, and fairly at the same time my husband was retiring. So yeah, almost 5.5 years now since we came here.
Fantastic. Time flies. I remember meeting you when you first arrived, I think.
Yeah.
Swimming by the lake. Yeah. We're like, I've seen you on Facebook. That was very cool. But a lot of people, and I think there's a lot of women that are living in a big city, have the type of job you had before, would like to change. Yes, they might be doing yoga and are concerned about their wellness, but find it difficult to actually make the decision to turn it into a business.
Yeah.
So, what advice do you have for people? What were happening that time? When did it happen? When you decided, okay, that's it.
Almost at the same time when we started thinking about moving, I took a yoga teacher training. And at the time, I didn't think that I would actually teach. I thought it would be nice to have, in reserve in case I wouldn't make enough writing. I also write articles for magazines. But I was hijacked into teaching almost before I had my degree in yoga. So, and then I felt I really loved teaching yoga. It really made me happy, and I wanted to share the good feeling and everything that my teachers had given to me. I wanted to sort of transform inside me and deliver to the next person like a little parcel of good enjoyment and good health, and sort of combine all the things that I really love. So if you want to do that, I know there are lots of yoga teacher trainings and lots of people who take a training and maybe they hope to get employed somewhere. But it's not so easy, and especially after COVID, many yoga studios, they had to close. And so if you want to do this, you really have to want it from your heart. You cannot do this half-heartedly. You cannot, think that this is something that will bring you a lot of money because it's not. You have to
You
love
look
it.
great and you'll feel great, but
Yes.
you won't be rich. Oh, no, you never know. You never know. It's interesting you mentioned doing it from your heart because I asked you the question before. Maybe there's other people that have thought this. Why are there so many people that want to become yoga teachers in the world? I feel like there's so many. Um, and what is it that makes you different at
Mm.
it? What makes you good at it? And you mentioned teaching yoga from your heart.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a bit?
Yes. First of all, the things with how the number of people who want to do it, I think people who really dive into yoga, who feel what it does, not just for the joints or for the muscles, but what it does for your well-being, your saneness in this kind of insane world. Mm, I think many of them want to dive deeper for their own sake. Many take teacher trainings not to become teachers, but to, go deeper in their own practice. But I think why there is room for many different yoga teachers is that we all have something different to bring to the table. So I would never want a world where there are like 5 teachers and all the people have to do what they have to offer, because all the people are different. People want different things from different teachers at different times. So I am teaching yoga from my heart, and I have seen many people who really respond to that. And then there are some who are not on the same planet at all, who want something different from yoga. And that's why I'm happy that there are so many styles, so many teachers, so many possibilities. But what I find after having practiced with a lot of teachers in a lot of different countries is that the teachers who have their own regular practice are the ones that are um, practicing from a true place inside. So if they only practice yoga in the moment when they're teaching yoga, I've had some
Mm.
teachers say that, oh, it felt so good to teach today because it's so long since I've done my yoga. Then I get a little bit skeptical. But that can happen in any kind of yoga. So it's more personal than type of yoga specific. So that's what I really think. And that goes for the nutrition as well, that I have to believe, I have to have experienced, not like I sometimes compare it to a cancer doctor. You don't have to have cancer to be a good cancer doctor. I don't have to know how to, I don't know, do something really complicated with my body. But if I have experienced how it feels inside, then I can teach from the heart.
And explain it better. It's you mentioning your beliefs, and the impression I get with yoga is that there's a lot of beliefs behind it. At first, there was the wave of Eastern, Indian, guru. I need to get into an ashram in a monastery before I'm going to get good. Or via like a kaftan with lots of colors. I feel like there's gone through the reputation of yoga has gone through many different phases over time and been associated to different beliefs. What are the beliefs that you have and what theories do you practice in your business?
Yeah. I would say that I'm coming from a scientific background. My training as a nutritionist is from the nature sciences, so I'm always looking for more evidence-based and peer-reviewed science regarding what yoga does for either the body or the mind or your emotions or whatever. So I read a lot of scientific reviews about yoga. That said, my training is in yin yoga, which is one type of yoga that encompasses both the Indian tradition with the yoga philosophy and some tantric thoughts as well. So that's the philosophical from the Indian side, But yin yoga, the word yin is from yin and yang from Chinese philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So yin yoga also encompasses the five element theory from Chinese medicine. And so I try to merge those two. They're kind of same, kind of different philosophies, and they merge in, I would say, perfection in yin yoga. And so I refer to those traditions, those philosophical traditions, when I teach, and they inform and color how I make my classes, how I design them, what topics to bring to the
Mm-hmm.
table during different seasons or different periods in people's lives. I have private clients as well. But they're not beliefs in so that in they're not a religious thing. They're more like a philosophical background and a huge vault filled with all these kinds of metaphors and things that you can use like principles to understand your practice.
Mm. Speaking about metaphors, we found out that there's definitely one we have in common, and that's using the cycle of nature
Mm.
from sprouts, from seeding to sprouting to growing, spring, summer, autumn, winter. And I mentioned to you, oh, this will be great because we both speak about the 4 seasons. And you said to me, how
5.
many seasons? There's 5 seasons. I was like,
Yes.
what? So can you expand a bit on the
Yeah.
five
The
seasons
5
theory?
seasons, they stem from the traditional Chinese medicine theory. The 5 elements, they correspond to 5 different seasons. And actually, right now we're in this special other season that isn't really common, and that's the late summer. And all of these are in a wheel, so it doesn't matter where you start or stop. So this could be the beginning of the cycle, no problem. So the late summer, it's the shortest period of time, and it's connected to earth element in the Chinese 5 element system. And the earth element, you can see it now. This is the time for harvesting. The
Mm-hmm.
summer is when you have all the explosion of colors, flowers, everything is bright and it's upward and it's full of energy. And now, even though it's still summer, but the light is softer, and the temperature is a little bit lower, and the evenings here in Norway, they're starting to get darker.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this is the season, the late summer season. And in Chinese traditional medicine, every season are connected to a flavor, a direction, a color, some foods, um, different kinds of yoga movements that you can do, and also different kinds of internal organs with their connected meridians. So now we're moving into the same science as acupuncture and all of that kind of traditional Chinese medicine that also we use in yoga when it comes to which organs and which organ systems and which energies to focus on. And this time of year is dedicated to the spleen, which is on your left side, just below your ribs in your body. And the
Mm-hmm.
spleen, and it's not really physically connected to the pancreas, but in Chinese medicine, you see those two organs as functioning as one energy, and they are connected to digestion. And the other organ that is for this time of year is the stomach, which also is about digestion.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the yin energy from the spleen and the yang energy from the stomach, and both work with digesting food, but also information, also meeting people, digesting what is happening. And this season, the late summer is also when schools begin, when maybe new projects at work begin, maybe you have new colleagues, everything starts again after the summer break. And so you need to have time to digest both meeting people, all the information, and the food.
Okay. So, as an expert, what advice would you give with regards to the food that you should be eating now, or some wellness practices you should be doing to aid in this digestion?
Yeah. So regarding food, according to the TCM, the traditional Chinese medicine, um, this season is good to you should look out for yellow foods, yellow and sweet foods. As I said, all seasons have colors, and the color for the late summer is yellow. So you can imagine fields full of wheat or
Ripe.
oats. Yeah, ripe.
Everything's ripe.
Yeah, and sweet yellow apples and everything yellow actually, and sweet honey. This is the time to collect honey, and so they imagine that every color not only has different kinds of nutrients in that kind of food, but also that the body will respond better to that kind of food. So this is really the time to pick an ear of corn and put it on the barbecue and really enjoy the last flavors of the summer.
I think it's going to make it much easier to go shopping, food shopping after
Yeah,
this, to know
check
what
the
to choose.
yellows.
I've never heard of that before, actually. And it feels good for me because it's simple, it's straightforward, and it tells me what I could do, and I can imagine it.
Mm.
And I think there must be some way that our bodies have developed through all the thousands of years to respond to the seasons and nature and eat what's available in that season in order to feel good.
Yeah. I think that we often forget that we are a part of nature. We always say that, oh, nature is there and seasons are happening, but we are actually very much a part of nature. So it happens to us as well. Trouble is when we live in cities, when we live in our modern world, we are more or less, we're fortunate to have every kind of food available all year around, but that means that we don't really get to enjoy what each season has to bring because
Mm.
we can buy everything all the time.
Yes, you can buy a strawberry in the middle of
Yeah.
winter. Yeah. How much of these theories and this information do you incorporate into your yoga business and your wellness and nutrition business?
Yeah. In my yoga classes, I usually spend a few minutes lecturing or talking before we get to the practice itself. And then I use a little bit of small sentences or small short things to just say during class so that people can have a little bit of food for thought as well. In my one-to-one nutritional and well-being coaching, I use whatever is necessary. So it might be TCM, this what we're talking about now. It might be Ayurveda, which is an Indian traditional medicine system.
Yeah.
So they are based on the same principle that if you want to balance out something, if let's say you have too much heat in your body, let's say you have eczema or something which is hot, like an inflammation, you need foods and yoga to cool it down. So
Okay.
that's the same basis, but the two systems treat those a little bit different.
Okay. How would
So,
you treat me? Because I have that on my eye. I had an accident 2 weeks ago. Lots of inflammation. It was yeah. It is still healing. What advice would you then offer me to help to deal with that or to aid the healing process?
uh, if I should look to the traditional Chinese medicine, the eyes, they are connected to the liver. and to the spring season. So if you have eye trouble, which you now definitely have
Definitely
had,
have.
I would work with the liver energy, actually. Yes. And also, if you have inflammation in your body, if you have got infection in the eye or in the wound, you would think cooling foods, for instance. And cooling isn't necessary cold foods,
Okay.
because you would have cooling foods that are um, operating cool within you, but it's not necessarily ice cold. So it could be astringent, if you've heard of that as a flavor. The best example is if you have a sugar-free gum or tablet, like a little pastille,
Mm.
and you inhale and you get all cold inside your
Oh,
mouth.
yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
And for instance, pomegranate seeds have that kind of effect in the body. So maybe that would be something to look into.
That's great. And
But also, I
definitely.
would think about what to do with yoga so that you wouldn't experience pressure from within. So, no bending down, for instance.
Okay, because that has
Yeah.
been the main issue, the pressure.
Yeah.
And they managed to operate to save my sight because the pressure was so, strong. So are there actual yoga moves that would help in that, or are there special yoga moves that should be done instead of others? Is that what you mean?
Uh, well, let's say you came into my studio and you were one of my pupils in my class. Then I would, and you told me this, then I would do a really quick checkup and, make sure that I knew what I was doing. And I would then give you some other instructions for the same positions or the same asanas as the other ones would have. But I would make sure that I wouldn't do anything to harm your eye even more, and maybe even find a few pressure points from acupressure that would aid. But I'm no walking dictionary or encyclopedia, so I always research before I give advice, so I don't say something wrong. And also, which now we come to something which is interesting, and that is, in my school medicine nutrition training, we are used to thinking that every person is the same if you lack iron or if you have this or this digestive disorder.
Mm.
It's very easy because you know exactly what to do. But
Mm.
in Eastern medicine, you would always look at, who is this person? What happened? Why has this lifestyle manifested in this disease? And also, I have to say that I never diagnose anything because I'm not a medic. So I have to rely on what people tell me, and then I do my research, and then I give my advice.
Mm. That sounds really interesting. I should definitely be going to you. And no more red wine because the liver. Um, you're so knowledgeable. You have such a broad range of scientific interests, which really piques my interest. Because I love talking with highly academic people. You have this, you've absorbed so much information, and usually you just need someone to ask you a question in order for you then to share it with the world. And so you're absolutely inspiring. And I think many people that would be interested in going into yoga can now start thinking beyond the position. Because whenever they see yoga on Instagram or anything, I feel like it's so position focused, and that posture. And all I think is never going to happen when I see it. No ways. But when Noma's actually mentioned to me before that it's the personality of the teacher and the experience and background that they're imparting to you, not just how to stand like that, or how to sit like that. And so you started a business, it's going well. You've written lots of books, and we are going to definitely talk more about them in future episodes. I actually want to take one book per episode in the future because there's so much, especially that about edible flowers. I was just like, oh, I'm dying to ask you more questions. We even discussed having like a lunch party or a dinner party with edible flowers on the menu as part of one of the future talks.
Luxury.
So you can look forward to that. But I have to ask you this question because I feel people don't talk about this enough in the wellness industry. What role does money and income have to play in being a female founder in yoga and wellness business?
What I've often wondered is why people assume that asking me or anyone else as a yoga teacher for free advice is okay, because you never expect to ask a lawyer for free advice. And people send me mails and they give me their whole, medical history.
And life
I
story.
don't know them. They give me their whole everything, all the medicines, all their operations, everything, and say, what do you suggest? And if I then say, well, I have a spot on Monday. Oh, no, 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 no. I cannot pay for this. I thought you were kind.
Oh,
And that
wow.
is kind of a different view on what is a business, because I've trained in this. This is my work, and I don't. I try to be generous, and I offer generous advice. And even to those people who expect everything free, I always give a little bit. But I find that it seems to be easier to expect women, and especially in yoga and nutrition, which should be free because there are so many teachers on YouTube that everything is free. So why pay for it? And I find that if I should, let everything be free, then I would expect that clothes were free, food was free, electricity was free. It is not. So I need to work. I have to get money. And actually, I've been teaching in a yoga teacher training about daring to stand up for yourself as a business owner, because it's not easy.
It's not easy.
No.
What advice would you give to somebody that's just started their business as a female founder in yoga and wellness, or is thinking of starting their business?
First of all, I would check out the competition, which is always a good thing. So you know what is the price in this area, because, for instance, drop-in yoga is much more expensive in Oslo than it is here, because of maybe what people have to spend and also what is the rent for a room or a yoga room in Oslo. So check that out first, and also think smart. Don't think that if you go lower in price, that is a way to attract customers. Because first of all, if you lower the prices, you're only making the whole business suffer. So then other teachers also have to lower their prices, and it just goes the wrong way. And also, I think you should find out what you think your offerings are worth, because they're worth something.
The
And they're
value.
worth something for the people who come to you. And sometimes you need to find out what is my clientele, who will resonate with me, and what are they willing to pay. So it has to be kind of, you have to think through it. And then you have to see, for instance, do I need to specialize in, let's say, business yoga? Because businesses might pay more, but then you might have to travel more, to go from place to place. So it's always kind of a balance between what you want and what you want out of it.
Very true. I think with these type of industries, it's so connected to you as a person that it can be quite hard to think about the value and price of the service, and also the value that you place on yourself as the person delivering it. And that's what I've noticed with clients through the years. They're highly smart, 3 masters, worked in 5 countries, traveled the world, but really struggle with placing a value on their own knowledge and skills. And I'm sure you must have as well, because I've also worked for myself, and it was very easy when someone else in the company, the chief financial officer, said, okay, this is what we charge an hour. And you never had to talk about price with anybody. You just had to show up and do your thing. What did you do? How did you talk to yourself on those days when you felt like you're not getting enough clients? You've just started your business. Oh my God, how am I going to make money? What does this mean? I'm a horrible person, because we all have those thoughts. How do you, coach yourself?
Yeah. I try to never take it personally. I try, but it's not easy.
Yeah, because I'm about to ask how. Everyone
and
says don't take it personally, but I definitely take some things
yeah,
personally.
and also I find that it's so much easier to remember the few bad comments instead of all the good comments. That's how most brains are put together. That one negative comment weighs a lot heavier than 10 good comments. So I often go and think about what could I have done better, what can I enhance. But if you feel that what you deliver is coming from the heart, then this is what I have to offer, and maybe you have to say take it or leave it, because this is where I am now, and this is what I have to offer. And like I said, there are thousands of teachers, so you can find another one if that doesn't suit you right now. That said, I'm also always on the lookout for new things to learn. And so if, say, during COVID, when business was really slow for most people, especially if you were self-employed and had a yoga studio which was closed, then you have to expand in another direction. So, for instance, I took up online teaching, which I had never done before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took a few courses and found out the tools I needed and how to do it. And I tried to build and learn and move forward, if that answers the
Yeah,
question.
no, it does. Because you're going to find challenges no matter what in building a business. And it's how you deal with them. I say that everybody needs to bloom. And I've broken it down to BLOOM, which is number one, to be a female founder, you are a brave person. That's what it is. It's bravery. And I don't think enough people are celebrated just for the bravery it takes to start it, just to grow that idea and actually start it. And the L is for learning. There's no failures, but there's definitely something you learned either to do or not to do in the future. And the O is for open heartedness. Like you said, communicating from your heart, because then you're able to stand in your truth and say, you know what, no, this is what it costs, because I value myself and I value you and the service I'm gonna make you feel better or try to make you feel better, and that makes me feel good as well. But this is the price. And I think people that value themselves will pay it. So with regards to those emails of free consultations and life's medical histories, do you have like a copy and paste answer that's like an automatic reply?
No, because I always tend to see the individual. But what I had when you mentioned mails, I have saved the nice mails. I've called them in Norwegian hooray mails, hurra mailer. So I have this special inbox for nice mails. So if I really feel down, which is really seldom, I can go to my hurrah mails and check out what all the good things are. So that's a tip.
That's a fantastic tip. You mentioned Corona being very difficult for your business. What type of sacrifices do you think you've made to be able to start in this industry? Yes, that was one of the challenges. What type of sacrifices have you made, and what type of gains have you had?
The most notable, I would say, is an approximately 80% cut in my wages or income, which is a lot. Luckily, it didn't. It was easier than I would think because we live slower and we have time to appreciate everyday life. And one of our goals was to create a life that we didn't need a vacation from because it's so good in itself.
Oh, wow, I love that.
So that means that we can enjoy going to the top of our fortress here in Halden as much as one would try to go on top of the K2 or whatever. So that, of course, is one thing. But I've tried to turn it into something good. The one thing that I can't really turn around is the fact that now I don't have any colleagues. And colleagues are a nice thing. Yeah. So I miss my colleagues, but workplaces change. So at the same time that I quit, several of my best colleagues also quit for different reasons. One also started by herself, two others moved to different workplaces. And so you have to remember that even though you like your work, it's never going to be static. So your colleagues, they're there for because you work in the same place. And if they're really good colleagues, then you turn them into friends, which I've done, and then we have contact anyway. But that was also something that I kind of lost, that lunchtime communion. But now I have my husband, so I can eat lunch with him and breakfast and dinner every day.
Without getting tired of each other.
No.
That's awesome. When you mention colleagues, the yoga business industry always seems to me quite individualistic in a way because you have the teacher and then you have the students. And that's not the same thing as having colleagues.
No.
It's very social. You get to meet and know a lot of people. What is the industry like with regards to teachers getting to know and hang out with each other?
Well, in bigger cities, you might have a kind of a teachers' colleagues meeting. But here,
Of course.
one of the first things that happened here in Halden was that one of the audience here today, dear Alice, she and some other teachers, they suggested we do something in common. So we had a meeting and we decided to have we called it a yoga night here in Halden, where we invited all the possible students or potential students. They could walk between all our studios. We can show our kind of yoga. And then we had a common yoga class in the evening or at midnight rather. And I think that was beautiful because we were sort of competition, but then we were colleagues still. So I really liked that.
That's a wonderful idea. I think that's something you could do a couple of times a year. And then, of course, there's always somebody that's new to the idea or finally going to get the courage to try it out
Yeah,
and really not sure who to choose.
exactly.
Because when I look on Facebook or Instagram, it seems like the person that does the most branding and marketing of their yoga business is going to get the most clients. And there's one thing being good at doing something, and there's another thing learning how to brand and market yourself. It is one of the hardest things to do is to promote your own thing. That is
Yeah.
it for everybody, even for myself. So, what advice do you have for people that don't have the budget to pay somebody like me or an agency to do the branding and marketing for them as a yoga teacher?
First of all, I think if you want to be in social media, which I think you have to, if
Have
you
to
want to
be.
be visible at all, I would advise to maybe check out some other accounts that you like and see what are they doing, what kind of colors do they use, what kind of language do they use, what resonates with you, and you can make your own little media kind of kit or package. So you can choose colors, you can choose moods, you can choose your way of expressing yourself and stay consistent with that, because then people will at least recognize you. And I like to dabble in design, so I designed my own little logo, but having a logo is a good thing. So if you don't feel like doing it yourself, that's not the most expensive to get help to do. So you can have your logo, and then you can choose the colors and also what you want to call yourself, so that you use the same name all the places that you're visible. I struggled with that in the beginning because the company I own is called Citrus Nutrition and Yoga, and I'm not I'm not Citrus Yoga or anything on Facebook. I'm BakingYogi, which merges something we didn't talk about yet, which is baking, which I love. But now I've tried to be BakingYogi all the places, because that's who I feel like, and it's just my business is called Citrus.
Okay. I've got a question. All the top brands in the world, like Coco, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Mercedes, there's something they all have in common, and that is it's based on the name of the founder. Most of us don't think about it. Most of the most famous brands, okay, besides Coca-Cola, are based on the founder's name. Everybody knows you by name, and they would say, "Have you been to Gunn Helene?" or "Are you going to go to her?" So, why didn't you choose your name as part of your brand name?
Well, my blog is called my name, just my name. And also, I've used it in one of my Instagram accounts, the international account, which is mainly just telling people to move over to BakingYogi. But I don't know. I think maybe I feel that my name is kind of too long. And some parts of my name are not usual in Norway, and parts of my name is not usual abroad. So I have this special name that I'm not sure if it's people can say it. That's why.
Yeah, I had to apologize to you because I did not say it correctly the first few times that we met. But can you say your name for someone that speaks English, and for the listeners out there? There's going to be listeners from all over the world,
Yeah.
and so that they can also go to your website and find you.
Yeah, my name is Gunn Helene Arsky, and Gunn is with two N's, and Helene is the same as Helen, but with an audible E at the end. And then my surname is actually pronounced like you would Tchaikovsky or Stravinsky or something like that. It's Arsky. It's the same family of names.
Okay. And is it gunnhelenearsky.com or
.no.
.no? That's great. Do you have any more advice for women wanting to start their own business in nutrition, yoga, and wellness?
Because there are so many out there, it is sometimes it might feel easy or a good choice to kind of choose a very narrow path, and
To specialize?
but specialize in a way that makes you narrow sighted, I would say. Maybe you throw yourself on some trendy diet or trendy yoga system or something, but I feel that instead of doing that, you should look inside and feel what actually you can stand up for, as you said, and you can feel confident in that what you say and what you teach is actually something that you believe in. And fad diets come and go, and all kinds of crazy elaborate styles of yoga, they come and go, but the main core remains. So you have to find your way to present the main core, I think.
and connected to your
Yeah.
heart and your personality.
If you want to do this for a number of years, you cannot just follow whatever fashionable diet or whatever fashionable poses or whatever is out there. You have to find your thing.
That's fantastic advice. And one last question is, what is your biggest downsizing tip
Oh,
for saving money when you're starting your
uh,
business?
yeah. For instance, I started cutting my own hair. That saved me like lots of money, but that's not enough. I think maybe start small instead of renting a large room for your yoga or renting a nice office. Maybe start smaller and progress in steps and make lots of little goals along the way instead of just one big hairy goal, because then you always get to feel success.
Mm,
And when you feel successful, then it's easier to move further forward.
mm. Okay, because you have your yoga business from your home.
Yeah. So I decided very early on that I would not want to rent the place. I did not want to have the monthly expenditure always coming. I wanted to make sure that I didn't have any bills to pay. So everything that comes in, I can use. I can spend as much time as I want in my yoga studio. I don't have to think that it's bad if I don't teach for a couple of weeks during the summer, for instance, or
Mm,
I don't have to find people who can rent it if I don't use it. So yeah, that's a big issue. And so when we found our house, what was, I guess, meant to be the TV room, we use as a yoga studio. And that also contains my classes to very small classes.
mm,
So I will never have room for 20 people. If I want to do a workshop with many people, then I have to rent the room for just one day.
mm,
But my classes, they are small, and that also makes sure that I get to teach yoga the way I want in a small environment, so I can see everyone. I know everyone, even though it's drop-in, I still get the personal connection, and so I can teach almost like yoga was taught in the olden days when there was always just one teacher and one student. So when
mm.
I have max 7, 8 students, I still get to see them as individuals.
That's wonderful advice because a lot of people believe that they're successful in their startup or their business when they have lots of people attending or a very fancy room or the latest yoga mats and the latest yoga pants and all that type of stuff. And what people crave is intimacy and connection,
Yeah.
really. That's why
Yes.
you're going there, yeah, to be connected to ourselves and also to you and through you.
Yeah. I think I've heard students say that the small space feels safe, and they don't have to worry that they don't look nice in the mirror,
Oh,
everything,
there's no
because
massive mirror on the wall?
there's no mirror
Oh,
at the
that's
wall.
great.
No, so you can be whoever and however you are, and if you feel like coming in shabby clothes, it's okay. No requirements
No
at all.
requirements at all. You've been wonderful. Please tell us about some of the books that you have available and where people can find them. And then we'll share some of your links to your books and also to your website. And if there's any special arrangement or event you have coming up, now's your chance to tell everybody about it.
Well, yes. So mainly, I will suggest my book in English, because we're talking in English now. I have actually one book in English called Yoga, Diet and Mindfulness. So that book is available on, this is the address, bakingyogi.myshopify.com. There you find the book, and there you also find the Norwegian books, the same one in Norwegian, and as you mentioned, the flower cookbook, which is also in Norwegian. As for events, this fall I will have 2 online workshops and 4 workshops here in Halden. All of them are also, you can find them there as well. So check out bakingyogi.myshopify.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. You've been a wonderful guest.
Thank you.
So let's recap some of those top tips that we received from Gunn Helene Arsky today. Number one, build upon the skills you already have from your former career. She managed to incorporate her love of lecturing, her skills in developing recipes, and her master's in nutrition into her yoga practice. So she's able to offer her clients not just the skills of how to do yoga, but the knowledge and insights of how you can make yourself feel so much better by incorporating a better nutritional plan into your yoga routine. Number two, avoid trends and the desire to focus and specialize too much based on what you see trending online. Things can look great when other people are doing it, but it doesn't mean it's something that's right for you. She says, look from within and choose a style and a method and a belief that works for you and comes from your heart. This way, you'll always feel authentic when you're teaching it, and your people and people that are coming to your classes will be able to feel that as well. It will also mean that you're able to last much longer and grow in the business over time without feeling burnout, without feeling like you're an imposter, and with really feeling like you're doing something that you're meant to do and comes from your heart. Number three, always look at your core. Your core beliefs and what you truly feel is the true essence of yourself is what will be the driving force behind your entire business. Trends come and go, but your true personality and passion does not. The next one is to downsize. Yes, I actually started stuttering there a bit because when we think about the thought of downsizing, we can get a bit scared, like, oh, I have to give up stuff. But as she said, you can really start small. She started by cutting her own hair, and that saved a few thousand a month. So you can look into what small things you can start downsizing with and have that money go into your business, or just give yourself a sense of breathing space and less pressure while building your yoga business. Another thing you can do is to teach from home, avoid the pressure or the need to impress or come across as super professional when you're first starting out. Rather, invite people into an intimate, sacred, personal space that also reflects your heart and the way you teach, and they will be grateful for it. And you'll also save a lot of money on rentals and a lot of money when it comes to unforeseen challenges that could arise, like what happened with her and Corona. And when it comes to branding, be consistent. Choose colors, choose a style, and stick with it. I can tell you now from working with this, when you see other people's brands and you think they look so amazing, it's so tempting to want to just change up your look and style and copy what they're doing. When it creates inconsistency and it creates uncertainty and it comes across as a lack of confidence. So I definitely agree with her. Choose a style, choose colors, stick with it. You can always fine tune it over time, but choose something that's also a reflection of your heart and your true personality. Keep on growing those ideas. Check her out. Contact me if you know anybody that you think I should be interviewing. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear from you, and keep on growing. Bye for now.